A quick thing before we get started. The Post's Labor Day sale is here, and you don't want to miss it. You can get our core subscription for $20 for an entire year. That's one crisp $20 bill. After a year, that renews at $120, and you can cancel anytime. Head over to washingtonpost.com/subscribe. Now let's get to the news. CDC staff are fighting back against the Trump administration. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Friday, August 29th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. At least 3 senior leaders of the CDC resigned yesterday. They did it to protest the Trump administration's firing of Director Susan Menares on Wednesday. Lawyers for Menares accused Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. of weaponizing public health for political gain and putting millions of American lives at risk. Dimitri Daskalakis is one of the officials who resigned yesterday. He spoke to the Post about why he left his role as the director of the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases.
As we saw the day unfold with Susan, realizing that we potentially would not have such a scientific leader anymore, that we would then be sort of in an unfettered situation where undue influence and ideology would drive the science. That is where my line is.
Yesterday, the White House tapped Kennedy ally Jim O'Neill to be the acting director of the CDC. The pick reflects Kennedy's influence as he seeks to remake federal vaccine policy. Number 2. The children who were killed in the Minneapolis school shooting were identified. Minneapolis is grieving after a shooting at a Catholic school mass on Wednesday. 18 people were wounded, most of them were students, and 2 children were killed. They have been identified as 10-year-old Harper Moisky and 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel. Fletcher's father spoke about his son yesterday.
Please remember Fletcher for the person he was and not the act that ended his life. Give your kids an extra hug and kiss today. We love you, Fletcher. You'll always be with us.
Authorities are continuing to investigate the shooter's motive. Health Secretary Kennedy suggested yesterday that antidepressants may have played a role. That statement was widely criticized for not being supported by scientific evidence. Number 3. California Governor Gavin Newsom accused President Donald Trump of blatant hypocrisy on crime. Newsom is a potential Democratic presidential candidate in 2028, and in recent weeks he has taken to trolling the president. His latest attempt came at a news conference discussing the expansion of a crime suppression program in California. He questioned why Trump is sending National Guard troops to Democratic-led cities when, he said, crime is a bigger problem in Republican areas. The governor held up flyers that displayed Republican elected officials along with crime statistics for their states. The pushback comes after Trump's surge of federal law enforcement agents to D.C. and his plan to send troops to Chicago. Number 4 is a Post exclusive. Tesla said it didn't have key data from a fatal crash. Then a hacker found it. In 2019, a Tesla driver using autopilot plowed into a young Florida couple, killing one of them. Years later, the survivor and the victim's family were building a wrongful death case against Tesla. But the company said it didn't have critical data that would have shown how the crash unfolded. So the plaintiffs hired a self-described hacker to decode the contents of a chip they recovered from the vehicle. What the hacker found became a key piece of evidence in a $243 million verdict against the company this month. Tesla is facing multiple lawsuits related to accidents, and the company has made its crash data harder to access. Number 5 is tough news for men who love potato chips. Eating ultra-processed foods could harm sperm quality. In a study published yesterday, a group of men were assigned to eat a diet of ultra-processed foods. That includes things like protein bars, white bread, and candy. It may sound like a pretty good assignment, but the results were rather concerning. The otherwise healthy men quickly gained body fat and suffered reductions in their sex hormones. Sperm counts in men around the globe have declined at the same time that consumption of ultra-processed foods has rapidly increased. The findings add to what is becoming overwhelming evidence that diets based on ultra-processed foods are not good for us or our swimmers. This Labor Day weekend is going to feel like fall. That's number 6. I'm not an autumnal absolutist. Summer is objectively great. However, there can be too much of a good thing. And for those seeking relief from the heat, I have some good news. The unofficial final weekend of summer will feature cooler than average temperatures for much of the country. Any hot spots will largely be kept to parts of the Southwest and Pacific Northwest. So if you're a summer lover, head west. Otherwise, it's time to become Mr. Autumn Man walking down the street with a cup of coffee wearing a sweater over a plaid collared shirt, to borrow a famous headline from The Onion. And at number 7, the Post ranked 5,700 holidays. This morning, the Post's Department of Data published a seminal piece of work to kick off the Labor Day weekend. Our team gave every non-religious holiday observed in America a realness score. That's a measure of how much attention each event receives. Unsurprisingly, Thanksgiving took the top spot for most real. But things got more interesting with holidays that are truly unofficial that we know about largely through Wikipedia pages. Our realist unofficial holiday is Groundhog Day, followed by 420, April Fool's Day, Pi Day, and the ever-popular Talk Like a Pirate Day. It also turns out that Americans really love dogs. There are 49 holidays celebrating our furry friends. In our newsletter today, you can find out which weird event overlaps with your birthday. If your birthday is today, happy birthday, and a happy lemon juice day to us all. That's the show for this week. The 7 podcast team will be off for Labor Day, but I will still be heroically working on the 7 newsletter. So if you want to stay caught up on the news, sign up for the 7 morning briefing at the link in our show notes, or just Google it. And you can see how I do all by my lonesome. The associate producer of The 7 is Taylor White. Special help this week from producer Emma Talkoff. The staff writers are Jamie Ross and me. John Taylor is our editor. Additional editing by Christina Quinn. Copy editing by Melissa No and Thomas Haliba. Mixing and sound design is by Jim Briggs and Justin Garish. Our theme music is by Edith Mudge. Renita Jablonski is our director of audio. I'm Hannah Jewell. Thanks for listening and have a great long weekend. I'll meet you back here on Tuesday.